Today I'm going to show you how to beat your defender off the dribble with some simple footwork moves. I'm Coach Dribble with AttackBball Academy. As a premier basketball player development coach, I want to train today just like I've trained thousands of youth players all over the world for almost 2 decades. So in this video today, I'm going to show you the fundamental footwork every player needs to master to blow by their defender. Next, I'm going to show you #1 drill elite players practice to get by the defender every time. Last, I'm going to show you the best way to beat your defender and ensure you score on them. And on top of that, a bonus that I'll give to you, but only if you stick around to the very end. Okay, let's get right into the fundamentals that every player must master to learn how to beat their opponent, their defender, off the dribble. And it simply starts with finding your feet, winning the foot fights with pivots and counters. The way we have taught pivots and counters in basketball over the last 25 years is not the way we need to teach pivots and counters. Because the same 6 moves I'm gonna show you right now within a matter of minutes are really the same 6 moves you're making in basketball repeatedly. You're already doing this. You just may not be doing them on purpose. So sit back, relax, go get your pen and pad and take notes. Because this, I'm telling you right now, if you get this down, these 6 moves down, these are all the moves you're doing right now, you're gonna become sharper, crisper, getting around your defenders with ease because of these moves I'm gonna show you. First, pivots and counters. In basketball, there's only 3 pivots in basketball. Okay, I'm gonna call them names that you may not know and names you may know. There's a front pivot in basketball, also called forward pivot. My back to the basket is simply nothing more than me turning. My left foot's my pivot foot, my right foot's my live lead foot, my right foot goes over. That is a pivot, right? That's a forward pivot. Here's another forward pivot. I just went right, I went left. You have a reverse pivot, also known as an inside pivot or a back pivot. 3 names for that pivot right there. All I'm saying is my right foot is my lead foot, left foot is pivot foot, it's just going under. The opposite of going over as a front or forward. And then last, you have a drop step. These are moves you can make initially by having one foot designated as a live lead foot that can create action and one that has to stay on the ground. First action I can do with my pivot foot is lift up my heel to push and peel. The heel push peel is what creates the separation, the explosiveness. That's footwork. I just showed you all 3 pivots in basketball. You already know that. You may not know it in the way I just explained it, but you're already doing it. Today on this video, I want you to do it on purpose and beyond. To beyond this day, do it on purpose. Now, every pivot has a counter. What's a counter? A counter is the next move. So if I go into a front pivot, forward pivot, and the defender takes away my forward pivot, I want to now cross step. So the counter to the forward pivot, front pivot is a cross step. Some people call it step through. Right foot step through my defender's hip. It's a right foot versus right foot, my defender's right foot. That's called a cross step 2. I turn, I cross step. I call it cross step, some people call it step through. Same thing, my left foot. Forward pivot, front pivot, cross step, step through. Reverse pivot, inside pivot, back pivot. They take away your inside pivot, reverse pivot, back pivot, you go with what we call a direct step. Now why do we call it direct step? We call it direct step because that's the same foot that's live that's going to lead my action on the same side. Right foot step, right hand dribble, that's direct. Right foot goes left, left hand dribble, that's cross. So going back to that first action, I went to a forward pivot, now here's a cross step. Step with my left, dribble with my right. And last, the counter to the drop step is an inside pivot. Those are 6 basic moves. It could be 12 because if you learn how to do them both ways, becoming ambidextrous, you're gonna be dangerous. So I want to explain that real quick. And then the next 2 hooks, I'm actually gonna put them in action so you can really understand how to beat your opponent with all these moves that are really basic. We call them elite, but they're really basic. Now, let me work on the #1 drill that you can work on to actually master all those moves. I've been away from the basket because it's not about shooting. It's about actually finding my feet. So right now, I'm going into these basic moves. First, a dribble into a direct step. We call this a north-south dribble. Here's that first dribble I wanna take off with. 2 dribbles, I want to take off. That's direct step. That's direct step, change it. Right? Direct step. Direct step. And I'm pushing the peel off my right foot because I need to explode by. And I don't want to be called for travel. Now here's a cross step. Right? Cross stepping now. 2 dribbles, cross step. Because I got to work on those counters that's coming up. Right? Staying low and not rising. 2 dribbles, cross step. Keeping that pivot foot down. Right now, my left foot's my pivot foot, my right foot's my lead live foot. I just worked on the counters. Now let's work on the actual pivots. So now, I have my back to you. Imagine me going to the basket now, exploding into a forward pivot, front pivot, right? Boom, drop, basketball need to be dribbled outside my leg every single time. I'll turn the show and take off for dough. Ball's outside my leg. That's a forward pivot. Now turn it into, I'm turning my back so you can see it. Now turn it into a reverse pivot. Same concept. It looks like a direct step, right? It looks like a direct step, right into my moves. If I do a drop step, working on the handle, you want to drop your leave live foot and dribble the basketball so then you can pick up your pivot and go. Some other way. Step, dribble, attack, right? Step, dribble, attack. Now, isolating the skill, imagine me doing a hip swivel, turning my hip. What kind of move I just made? I just made a forward pivot. Going to make a forward pivot into a reverse pivot, change direction, back into another move. Now, all those things I just showed you are in action now. Now I'm playful, right? I'm playful now. Cross steps, inside steps, pivots, counters, footwork, handles, tight. And this ball now is on the string. All those things I just showed you, I talked about them first. I just showed you quickly for this video's sake, not to be too long. But that's all those moves in action right there. Now let's take those moves to the basket. Let's get some buckets. I noticed that you're not a subscriber. I develop premier basketball players and roll out 20 high-quality videos every month to help you. So click that subscribe button. Now, I'm going to actually go to the basket as I'm at now, and I'm going to put some scoring moves with it. First, let me go into a hip swivel, basically where I'm going into a drop step footwork to protect the ball with my body, and then into a forward pivot. In this stance right here, this is actually a drop step stance. So imagine me going here, taking my inside foot, swinging it, and going right into a forward pivot. Keeping it simple. Attack, change, attack, layup. And I'm gonna do that both ways. Right foot is live, left foot is live. Keeping it simple, right? Finding my feet. Now, same move. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into a inside foot swing back. But that's nothing but, you know, as a reverse pivot. I might change speeds or I might change directions. Go into it, bounce back, change. Cross step happened naturally. As you saw when I changed directions, the cross step happened. The counter happened naturally. Attacking, open up, change, cross step, finish. One now, last one, I'm gonna use a drop step. I'm gonna attack, drop step on him, pull back, oh, got him, boom. All these moves. I got like 12 moves because it's 6 with the right pivot, it's 6 with the left pivot. You got all these moves in you now, right? You got all these moves in you now. Boom, counter. The counter to the drop step is the inside pivot. Here, open up. Bang, boom, go. See, change, got him. Finish. Man, that's pivots and counters. And it's not just triple threat. It's making the defender sweat. With all these opportunities I just showed you. See, all these moves I just made are basic to me. They're basic moves. Having fun going slow with it, they're basic moves. But this is nothing but pivots and counters. It'll actually make your opponents not want to play you. Let's keep the momentum going with that bonus I mentioned earlier. We've covered a lot in this video, and I really want to make sure I'm helping you out. So I'd like to offer you a guide that covers all the must-know basketball principles and in what switch to apply them. This is a powerful guide of best practice tips and skills empowering you to take charge of your game. Just click the link in the description below. You can download the guide I put together as my gift to you. Enjoy it and keep attacking.